Good. All right, I get to talk with you for a few minutes about recreation ministry, and a large part of that will be upper basketball, but a general purpose, at least as I understand it, for recreation ministry is to play with a purpose. That's a phrase I use a lot. You'll see that on some of the shirts I have, and I picked that up from my rec lab days. But the idea is we play with a purpose. The goal is to have fun, make friends, and grow in our relationship with God as we enjoy a variety of recreation activities, not just team sports, but a variety. And the target audience is pretty much all ages. I mean, hopefully if we're doing it right, we're providing recreation for everybody. And so I want to talk specifically about upper basketball, and then we'll come back. But we'll tell you that as best I can tell, the number of people that we touch annually through recreation ministry would be at least 500. And if you throw in the street festival, it can go off the charts, because I mean, I think we've estimated 10,000 people being at the street festival. Now, they don't all come by our booth, but we do have a touch on a bunch of those folks. It appears to me it's an inexact count, but it looks like we have about 235 volunteers working in recreation ministry. 150 to 200 St. Matthews people involved in, doing what we're doing. We budget about $13,500 a year from our budget. We take in about $40,000, and that's because we have a couple of big ticket items like Upward and like the Bob Downs, where a whole lot of money is coming in, and probably the street festival too. So a lot of money comes in, but a lot of it just goes right back out to outside vendors. Some of the kinds of things that would be encompassed, we've mentioned the Bob Downs golf tournament. We have basketball and softball beyond Upward. We have a men's team and a youth team, and we have a softball team in the spring for our men. We have a game room that we see about. We have the street festival that always has a recreation component, mainly that 5K road race that kind of kicks the whole thing off. We have game room that's in play every Wednesday night. And then there's lots of other kinds of things that go along around the edges. Like, for example, the canoe trip, or any kind of church-wide thing that we do, game night. Things like that are a part of recreation ministry. Bible school, there's a recreation component to Bible school. So those are some of the things that we do, some of the things that we fund. Upward basketball is probably one of the largest things that we do. And Upward, as you probably know, is a community league. I mean, it runs through our church here, but it's a community league for basketball and cheerleading, and it's designed basically to be a delivery system for the gospel. I mean, when it's all said and done, that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to share our faith and being very intentional about it. Probably 500 to 750 people a year are touched by this. This year we have 204 basketball players, 26 teams, 19 cheerleaders, 2 squads, and 4 pages with about 20 names on a page of people that say, we don't go to church anywhere. And they're right here for the next 10 weeks. So some of that's inaccurate. I've already looked at it, and there's a couple of people who just didn't tell us where they go. But there's a bunch of people. And so approximately 100 volunteers on that team. Believe it or not, only a handful of our St. Matthews kids participate. We probably got 20, 24, 22, somewhere in there of our kids that are playing. That's the way that lines out. And we budgeted just over $3,000 for Upward. But again, we take in about $21,000, and they pay to play, and we send that money on to Upward, and then we use the rest to take care of stuff. So other than VBS, there's probably not anything that we do as a church that connects us with so many folks outside our church. It's one of these things where they're coming to us, and so it's very exciting. And because of that, we're very intentional about using the opportunities that Upward affords us to share the gospel and to discover ministry needs. And those are that just all kind of happens. I mean, Dennis is the perfect example, because he's my Monday night practice assistant. And so he's here on Monday nights, so I don't have to be here every Monday night, from 5 until 9. But what he doesn't just sit in the office. He's out there walking around, talking to people, finding out, what's going on. And over the course of 10 weeks, stuff happens. You meet people, and then people have the opportunity through our halftime devotions, through the devotions at practice. They overhear the gospel, and so it's a great thing that we do. And we just continue to pray that God will use it. So those are, in a nutshell, those are some of the things about recreation. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions you might have. And grateful that I'm at a church that gets it in terms and wants to do it even bigger and better as the future unfolds.
What are the numbers this year, David, compared, I'm talking about participants in upward basketball specifically, in comparison to previous years?
We're down a little bit this year. I think last year we had about 225, maybe 230 players, so we're down about 30 players. There was a time, some of you may remember, we had 450-something players in this league. But that was back when Upward was new, and I think what's happened, this is not an excuse, it's just an observation, but a couple of things is, number one, Upward did so many things right that people started copying us. And so they started doing some of the things. People were coming to us so they could play half of every game and so that they could be matched up fairly and so that they could have a character component. And other, schools began to see, and other churches began to see, we can do some of that, so people didn't have to leave their church, to come do it. A lot of I know the Catholic churches, when we first started, they didn't have leagues for little guys. And, it didn't kick in with the Catholic leagues, which were very strong, didn't kick in until about 3rd or 4th grade. So one year we had 20 first and second grade teams. Well, a lot of them are now able to play through their parish and through their school. The other thing that happened, and Upward has addressed this, is Upward got a reputation of not being competitive enough. That, if you really want to play and get good, and you were good, you had to leave Upward at some point to chase that. And Upward saw that and changed it, and so beginning a couple of years ago, they introduced a performance division and a little bit more competitive level, and we tried it last year with our older boys, and it was fabulous, and this year we're trying it with our older girls. And the idea is that we hope that some of that people will realize, I don't have to leave Upward. I don't have to leave all the stuff I really like, especially the character component, to go chase my dream. Upward has just put a guy on named Phil Morrison. Not only is he the brand new Louisville Stars director, he's also head of all the Nike camps for Kentucky, and he's in our back pocket. I mean, he's already led one thing for me, he's leading another one in 2 weeks, and he's totally into Upward. And so that's ringing a lot of bells because people are seeing, when he brings a guy like Terrence Farley in here, that's his team, former U of L player, people are going, I get everything I want as good as, I can be as good as I want to be right here. So we hope that'll start, Dennis, maybe that trend to move back up and build our leagues a little bit, but there's a lot more competition than there was when we first started. It's been 20, I think this is our 20th year. It's hard to believe.
And the public schools have also started elementary school teams that they didn't have 5 years ago.
That's right.
You had 2 or 3 things that you could request that you're not getting.
A new gym. I'm serious. I found myself working on the schedule, trying to figure out how I was going to practice everybody. And fortunately, we still have a partnership with Broadway. It's changed this year, as some of you know. They're not doing anything except opening the door and turn on the lights. So we got to take everything, leadership, everything. And we actually have embraced that. My leadership team's kind of excited about it because we feel like we can maybe take it to a different level. But I got, we have a small gym. I'm glad that we've got it, but we have a small gym and I can only practice 2 teams at a time. And so I quickly run out of spots, and I was trying to solve that over the Thanksgiving holidays, and I remember emailing somebody saying, I just wish I had a bigger gym. And we are able to put some teams at Broadway, but I try not to practice too many teams over there because I got to see about it. I got to have somebody over there. Tom Cox is over there every Monday night, and it's not our place. And so that'd be my main thing. And then just more, I would like to see, I wish our folks would embrace the opportunity to tell people about it a little bit more. Not everybody wants to play, I get that. Not everybody, wants to do this. But I can't go over here to St. Matthew's Elementary, even though we're good friends with the school and with Scotty Collier and all those people. I can't go over there with a bunch of upward brochures and pass them out. but our kids can't, you know, if I had a kid at that school, I could send them to school with a stack of those things and they can do whatever they want to with it. But I can't seem to get our folks to understand that. And so trying to realize, you know, this might not be your thing, but boy, it might be somebody's thing. And in sharing that, you're being a witness. I wish I could get that a little bit more. But I'm so thankful. I really don't need, I mean, I always take more leaders. But God always sends what we need. And the one thing I need this year probably is what we call halftime activities. At halftime, there's an activity and a devotional thought. It ends up being about a 3 to 5 minute thing that's done for the fans in the stands. It's not done really for the players. The players leave the court, but it's done. And this year I got to have 16 leaders instead of 8, and not just anybody can do it. So that's a big thing. It's a big need this year. But I'm so grateful for the support our church gives it. And I guess too, Steve, if people realize if there's anything recreation you can do, like if you have a Sunday school party or something, we got equipment, we got, you know, we can help you plan a recreation component to whatever you're doing. You got a retreat, we can help with that a little bit. Thank you.
Anything else?